Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We are here to talk about government efficiency, something that's very important to me personally at the state auditor. We actually started 6 years ago a program called Public Innovations and Efficiencies, PI. The whole idea behind it is finding ways for cities, counties, and school districts to help save taxpayer dollars. And that program has been working fantastically. We have had about 500 participating entities on average. 3/4 of Iowa's counties use it, and most cities and school districts as well. It has been copied in 2 other states since we created this program from scratch. We made PI from scratch, yes, 6 years ago. We're really happy about that. And so, of course, we're happy because we're passionate about this issue to hear Governor Reynolds last night in her State of the State speech say that she too wants to work on government efficiency at the local level. Great, that's wonderful. And if she's going to have a task force of volunteers, then that is fantastic because those folks will be giving their time in this pursuit of efficiency to taxpayers, right? Very happy to hear that. We are hoping that they will be working with our office and working with the PI program because we have been working on this very issue already for 6 years. And not only are we working on it, but we're actually making quite a big impact across the state. It's also worth noting that if we want to have increased government efficiency, that people should actually know the auditor is able to audit freely, right? SF 478, which the governor signed into law, literally restricts our ability to look at documents, makes it easy for a state agency to hide material from the auditor's office. That, of course, increases their temptation to commit acts of waste, fraud, and abuse. And so if we're serious about government efficiency, repealing that bill would be another very good action. Again, we are hoping to work on this issue with anyone else who's interested in real government efficiency because there's certainly a lot of efficiencies to be gained. I'm happy to take questions from anybody.
Zachary Owen Smith asked, which 2 states copied PI?
It has been copied in Mississippi and in Maryland by the city of Baltimore, and there's several other jurisdictions that are taking a look at it as well. But Mississippi copied it a couple years ago by the Republican state auditor down there.
There's the why you did not attend the different state last night. If there's any comment or anything?
No, I had a family obligation.
Are there any other specific legislative requests that you intend to present this session?
Yes. Yes, in fact, we've been asking, for this as an example, we've been asking the legislature and the governor to make our PI program, promoting efficiency, a mandatory thing for the state auditor's office to do. We have been asking for that for the last 3 years. The idea there is we are doing this program voluntarily. We have the authority to do it in Chapter 11 of the Iowa Code. However, we would love to see this program be required to be continued forever. And if the legislature and the governor wants to improve government efficiency, then making sure that this program that already exists and is running will continue into the future, that would be a great thing to do in order to improve government efficiency.
Has given your experience in finding efficiencies, would you say it is efficient to establish a department on efficiency when PI is already in place?
Well, I don't want to prejudge that. Again, that's why I made the point about if this is volunteer labor, where these folks are signing on to the task force and putting their time in free of charge taxpayers, then certainly you couldn't fault that, right? And it depends on what the recommendations is what the nature of the task force is. So I don't want to prejudge that. But again, here we are. We've been doing this for 6 years, and so we'd be happy to have had them reach out to us, which they haven't yet, but maybe they will soon.
From your audits of local governments, are there any areas where you see where the state could support municipalities to reduce waste? In other words, if you have any recommendations for DOGE, what would those be?
You know, I'm glad you asked that question. We literally have a list that is 9 pages long. It's the PI program in and of itself. Auditor.iowa.gov/PI. You can pull up that list there. Lots of those practices are things that, if were required by state government, would save hundreds of millions of dollars for taxpayers. And so you could pick almost anything out of there. Some of them are pretty small practices, but others of them are really fantastic ideas that save 6 and 7 figures just by getting implemented. Another easy way to get that done would be to set up a revolving loan fund for government efficiency, where you could actually have the funds set aside for local governments to do these projects, where they could then repay that money through the savings that they're realizing later, so that there's additional money available for other localities to implement those practices that are listed in the PI program.
Any other questions? Speaker Grassley has indicated that they might want to take a broader look at the operations of the auditor's office this session following the judicial branch misallocation of funds. Are you aware of previous legislatures investigating state auditors, and how would you respond to potential hearings by lawmakers related to your office this session?
Let's leave that for another day. I want to talk about efficiency today. I think we've got plenty that we've talked about already. Certainly that's an issue that's something we'll get into later.
Can you give an example of money saved through PI, like a
Sure.
something that was implemented that worked?
Sure. One of the things that we suggest is publicly owned solar installations. Your average, through a report that we put together a few years back, your average publicly owned solar installation will save taxpayers $750,000 over the course of that installation. Another item that we have is converting to single stream recycling collection. Scott County did that, and they estimated savings of $2.5 million over just the first 8 years, and it also created 11 jobs. So those are 2 good things that are coming out of that. Another practice would be collecting at landfills the methane that is typically flared. So this is something that is done in Muscatine, Sioux City, and Lynn County. And what they do is they actually collect that methane instead of just lighting it on fire. And they're able to sell that because it's natural gas that can be used to heat homes and businesses. So that's another great way to take something that we are currently wasting and literally turn it into money for taxpayers. Thanks.